You're living a lie so convincing that you defend it with your life, and it's slowly suffocating everything you could become. This illusion is so deeply embedded in your reality that questioning it feels like questioning gravity itself. Yet it's the very thing keeping you trapped in a life that feels smaller than your soul. The illusion is this: you believe you are your thoughts. You've spent your entire life assuming that the voice in your head, that constant narrator commenting, judging, planning, worrying, is you. But what if I told you that this voice is not only not you, but it's actually the primary source of your suffering, limitation, and unfulfilled potential? Right now, as you process these words, there's a voice in your head responding. Maybe it's agreeing, disagreeing, analyzing, or preparing counter-arguments. You've been so identified with this mental chatter for so long that you can't imagine existence without it. But here's what will shatter your reality. That voice is not the real you. It's a psychological construct, a mental program running automatically in the background of your consciousness, and it's been making decisions for your life based on outdated information, inherited fears, and cultural conditioning that has nothing to do with who you actually are. The ancient Eastern traditions discovered this thousands of years ago. Buddhist masters called it the monkey mind, the restless, chattering mental activity that swings from branch to branch of thought, never settling, never at peace. Hindu sages referred to it as Maya, the veil of illusion that obscures our true nature. But you don't need to be spiritual to understand this. Modern neuroscience has proven that most of our thoughts are repetitive, unconscious, and largely generated by primitive survival mechanisms that are completely inappropriate for modern life. Think about your thoughts from yesterday. How many were actually original, creative, or helpful? How many were just variations of the same mental loops you've been running for years? Worry about the future, regret about the past, judgment about others, criticism of yourself, endless mental scenarios that never actually happen. This is the voice you've been trusting to run your life, and it's been lying to you about everything that matters. Here's the devastating truth: this mental voice doesn't want you to grow, change, or become powerful. Its primary job is to keep you safe, which in its primitive understanding means keeping you exactly where you are. It will generate infinite reasons why you can't start that business, can't leave that relationship, can't move to that city, can't pursue that dream. It will convince you that these limitations are rational, practical, sensible, when in reality they're just fear wearing the mask of wisdom. The voice in your head is not your friend. It's not your advisor. It's not your protector. It's a mental parasite that feeds on your energy and potential, convincing you that its anxiety is your intuition, its limitations are your reality, its fears are your truth. But here's what will change everything. You can observe this voice. Right now, try to notice the thoughts arising in your mind. Who is doing the noticing? Who is aware of the thoughts? That awareness, that observer, that consciousness behind the mental noise. That's who you really are. If this revelation is already cracking the foundation of everything you believed about yourself, imagine what comes next. Subscribe to discover how to break free from the mental prison you didn't even know you were living in. Let me show you how deep this illusion goes by examining how it operates in your daily life. Every morning, you wake up and immediately check in with the voice. What do I need to worry about today? What problems need solving? What should I be anxious about? You've been programmed to believe that this mental activity is productivity, that constant thinking is intelligence, that the busier your mind, the more engaged you are with life. But here's what's actually happening. You're living in a mental simulation of reality instead of reality itself. You're experiencing thoughts about your life rather than your life. You're relating to concepts about love instead of love, ideas about happiness instead of happiness, stories about success instead of success. You've become a prisoner in your own mental construction of the world. Watch how this plays out in relationships. When you're with someone you care about, how much of the time are you actually present with them versus thinking about them, analyzing the relationship, planning what to say next, or running through mental scenarios about your future together? The voice in your head is constantly pulling you out of direct experience and into mental commentary about experience. The same thing happens with your work, your creativity, your passions. Instead of being fully engaged with what you're doing, you're thinking about what you're doing. Instead of flowing with your natural capabilities, you're second-guessing yourself based on past experiences and future fears. The voice creates a layer of mental static between you and life itself. But here's where it gets even more insidious. This voice has convinced you that without it you would be lost, powerless, unable to function. It's made you believe that thinking is the same as intelligence, that mental planning is the same as wisdom, that constant analysis is the same as understanding. So you cling to this mental chatter as if your life depends on it, never realizing that it's the very thing preventing you from accessing your deepest intelligence and intuitive wisdom. The greatest creators, athletes, leaders, and innovators throughout history have all discovered the same secret. Their best work comes not from thinking, but from a state beyond thinking. Musicians call it being in the flow. Athletes call it being in the zone. Mystics call it presence. Scientists call it insight. What they are all describing is the same phenomenon, temporarily stepping out of the mental voice and accessing a deeper level of consciousness. When Michael Jordan was making impossible shots, he wasn't thinking about technique. When Einstein had his breakthrough insights about relativity, they didn't come from logical thinking, but from intuitive leaps. When great artists create their masterpieces, they're not following mental plans, but channeling something beyond the thinking mind. You have access to this same deeper intelligence, but the voice in your head drowns it out with its constant noise. It's like trying to hear a whisper while standing next to a jackhammer. The wisdom is there, the creativity is there, the solutions are there, but you can't access them while identified with mental chatter. Here's a simple experiment that will prove this to you right now. Think of a current problem in your life that you've been trying to solve through thinking. Notice how the mental voice approaches it, analyzing, strategizing, worrying, creating scenarios. Now, just for a moment, stop trying to figure it out. Drop the mental effort completely. Take a deep breath and simply be present with the situation without needing to solve it mentally. What happens? Often, when you stop forcing solutions through thinking, insights arise naturally. Ideas appear that the mental voice never considered. New perspectives emerge that were impossible to see while trapped in mental loops. This is because your deepest intelligence operates below the level of thought, in the realm of direct knowing and intuitive understanding. But the voice in your head doesn't want you to discover this. It wants to maintain its position as the primary decision maker in your life. So it will immediately jump back in with doubt. That's not practical. You can't trust intuition. You need to think this through logically. And you'll probably believe it because you've been conditioned to trust mental analysis over direct experience. This is the trap. The voice uses thinking to convince you that you need more thinking. It uses mental arguments to prove that mental arguments are necessary. It's like being convinced by a dictator that you need the dictator to protect you from chaos, never realizing that the dictator is the source of the chaos. But there's an even deeper layer to this illusion, something that most people never discover because they're too afraid to look. The voice in your head isn't just limiting your potential, it's actually creating a false identity that has nothing to do with who you really are. This mental construct, this collection of thoughts, beliefs, memories and stories has convinced you that it is you, but it's not. It's just a psychological program that was installed through years of conditioning, and it's running your life based on outdated information. Think about the story you tell yourself about who you are. I'm someone who's not good with money. I'm not a creative person. I'm too old to change careers. I'm not the type who takes risks. These aren't truths about you. They're just thoughts that have been repeated so often that they've crystallized into what you believe is your identity. But here's the liberating truth. You are not your story. You are not your personality. You are not your past or your fears or your limitations. You are the consciousness that's aware of all these things, and that consciousness has no inherent limitations at all. When you really understand this, everything changes. You realize that all the boundaries you thought were real were just mental constructions. All the limitations you accepted as facts were just beliefs you inherited from others. All the fears that seemed so rational were just the voice trying to keep you in a familiar prison. The real you, the consciousness behind the thoughts, is limitless potential. It's pure awareness, capable of learning anything, creating anything, becoming anything. It's not bound by your history, your conditioning, or the stories you've been telling yourself. It's free, powerful, and completely available in this moment. But to access this true self, you have to stop identifying with the voice in your head. You have to recognize that you are not your thoughts. You are the space in which thoughts arise. You are not your emotions. You are the awareness that observes emotions. You are not your story. You are the consciousness that's capable of writing any story it chooses. This isn't just philosophical speculation. It's the most practical discovery you could ever make. When you stop being enslaved by the mental voice, you gain access to capabilities you never knew you had. You become capable of making decisions based on wisdom rather than fear, taking action based on inspiration rather than compulsion, relating to others from authenticity rather than strategy. Your life stops being a reaction to mental noise and becomes a conscious creation of aware intelligence. You stop living in the past and future and start engaging fully with the infinite potential of the present moment. You stop being a victim of your thoughts and become the conscious author of your experience. The illusion that's been destroying your life is the belief that you are the voice in your head. The truth that will liberate you is recognizing that you are the awareness observing that voice, and that awareness is unlimited, unconditioned, and infinitely creative. Stop listening to the mental chatter as if it's the voice of truth. Start recognizing it as mental noise that has no real authority over your life. Stop believing the stories about limitation and start exploring the boundless potential of conscious awareness. The voice in your head will resist this awakening with everything it has. It will generate new fears, new doubts, new reasons why you need to keep listening to it. But now you know its game. Now you understand that this resistance is just the false self fighting to maintain control. Your real life is waiting on the other side of this illusion. Your authentic power, your genuine creativity, your deepest wisdom, your unlimited potential. All of this becomes available the moment you stop identifying with mental noise and start recognizing yourself as the aware presence that observes it all. The question isn't whether you have the capability to transcend this illusion. You do. The question is whether you're ready to stop defending the prison and start exploring the freedom that's been waiting for you all along. If this truth has shaken something loose in your understanding, if it's made you question the mental voice you've been obeying without question, then like this video and subscribe to the channel. Share this revelation with someone who's ready to wake up from the illusion and discover who they really are beneath the mental noise. Because the world doesn't need more people trapped in mental prisons. It needs more people awake to their true nature as limitless conscious awareness. And that awakening starts with recognizing the difference between the voice in your head and the awareness that's listening to it.